Hello, I'm Nina Jackson and I'm an Associate Director with Independent Thinking. I'd like to share with you some strategies, some ideas and ways that you can support children and young people in your school, in your classroom, particularly with grief and bereavement. Grief and bereavement are the darkest of times that we have to deal with, and for young people this can be more so. In my book of Teaching, Learning and Sherbet Lemons, which is a compendium of careful advice for teachers, there's one chapter dedicated specifically to the death of a parent. And these questions that came into the book were from teachers, the real questions about ways that they could help and support in different areas of education. This was one question that came from one teacher. One of my students lost a parent recently. Do you have any ideas when it comes to supporting her? And these were my responses. Saying sorry doesn't and won't even begin to help your student. Her world has been torn apart and may have left her with the deepest of wounds and scars, which will never heal fully. The wounds may become fainter, but they'll never go away. Sometimes, when we don't know what else to say, we often say sorry. It's not ideal, but at least it's something. The most ridiculous thing for anyone to say is, I feel your pain. No, you don't. No one can feel the pain of another human being. You can only empathise or sympathise. There is no script for grieving or knowing how to cope or not to cope. And why should anyone need to cope during such a traumatic life experience? This is one of the most difficult issues a teacher might face in their career. I'm not a grievance counsellor, but I'm an experienced teacher and human being with an open heart and a listening ear. Having been in a similar situation when one of my students lost a parent, I can only reach out to you and give you as much advice as I feel I can. To start with, here are some things for you to think about. Firstly, make sure that you or another teacher or even the head teacher tell the other children about the death of the student's parents. Step in before tongues begin wagging or Chinese whispers invent or even distort the truth. Communicate with the family and ask them what they would like you to say to other students so there's no conflict with their wishes. Do not be afraid of the words dead or death. Often we feel that choosing other words might be easier, but easier for who? Us or the child? Worrying about finding the right words is better than taking the coward's way out, which is saying and doing nothing. Something is always better than nothing. Even a gentle touching of the arm may help when you really don't have the words. If a child grips onto you or needs a hug, then let it happen. Often safeness and simply holding the child may be their only source of comfort at that moment in time. Ensure that the school and the children send messages of condolence to the family. This is really important. Ignoring a death because you don't know what to say is just not acceptable. We all need honesty in our lives. Children and young people going through bereavement need it even more so. It's always better to answer difficult and awkward questions with the truth. You do yourself and the child a complete injustice if you don't. Always allow the child to express their emotions and feelings in their own way. Reassure them that it's okay to respond in that way and encourage them to grieve however feels natural for them. After all, we're all the same, but we are so different. Remember that it's fine for you to share your own emotions and feelings of sadness with the child as well. It's natural and human. Be a listener. Over and over and over again, because sometimes it's what a grieving child needs the most. And I don't just mean in the days and weeks following the bereavement. It may take months or even years. Give the child space, time and unconditional support network of people in the school to help. This network means everyone. I once saw a child sitting on a stairway with Jenny, my classroom cleaning lady, and she was just lovely. There they were, sharing a biscuit and a cup of tea, and the child had a yellow duster in her hand. The little girl said she couldn't find me for tea and a chat, so she thought she'd see Jenny to see if she could sit with her instead. They couldn't find tissues as my office was locked, so Jenny found the next best thing, the yellow duster. It was quite a lovely moment. We didn't move to proper chairs. Sitting there together on the stairs with tea and biscuits just seemed the right thing to do at the time. And if it's the right thing, then do it. When a child needs to talk or just be, find someone and somewhere that's appropriate for them. Make it right for them. Be there for them and their way. End of. Please remember the parent who's grieving too. If they contact you or want to come into school and be with the child, then make sure there are appropriate times for this to happen. It might be for just 10 minutes, or it might be for most of the day. They need people around them who will just be accepting of whatever is required at that particular time. And knowing there are other adults looking out for their child will mean so much to them. When children and adults are grieving, their world is just at that time their world. It is distorted and even broken. But knowing they can just be the way they need to be is incredibly helpful. So help them experience this. Always make sure there's plenty of tea, coffee and biscuits, and maybe even a soft blanket to hold if they need it. Sitting together under a blanket can create a safe place, especially if the fabric pulls them closer together and they are enclosed within it. Cwtchi, as we say in Wales. As strange as this might seem for some people, strange is the norm at these times. We all react to trauma and grief in different ways. Do not assume that a lack of emotion or reaction means the child doesn't care. It may be that the reality of the parent's death has not sunk in yet. Some young people believe they need to demonstrate that they're coping, whatever that may look like or sound like, because it's a sign of maturity. Never judge. Grief is personal and every child or adult will do it in their own way. There isn't a plaster for that, you know. Talk about the dead person. Talk about the memories. The bereaved child may well need and want you to do this. Ignoring the dead parent can be perceived as a denial that they ever existed. So talking about them with the child can mean the world. Offer comfort and reassurance that they are not responsible for what had happened and could not have prevented it. It's very common for young children to feel that they have in some way been the cause of the death, so all you can do is reassure them. Be sensitive to events such as Mother's Day and Father's Day in school. Make sure your teaching staff know who might be affected. And you may want to try some of these tips in your school. Does your school have a clear understanding of how to support the child and the parent? It's about a caring dialogue, remember. Is flexible in every way with regards to the needs of the parent and child. Even if it means going to the park for the afternoon and having an ice cream together, because it's the right thing to do at that given moment. Be flexible with their emotions and needs. That is one of the greatest gifts that you can give. Talk about death openly in school in general. Grieving for the first time can be an almighty blow to our world. And does your school have a whole school bereavement policy? Remember that nothing prepares us for the passing of a loved one, even if we know it's coming. Can I also suggest to you an amazing resource that also might help? Ian Gilbert's The Little Book of Bereavement for Schools. Written with his 3 children, Will, Olivia and Phoebe, it offers a very personal perspective on what schools could and should be doing after the death of a parent. This book should most definitely be in every school across the world. I hope that my suggestions can help your student, and I hope that you can embrace what's needed for the school. Do let me know if I can help you further. Here's a very special poem that I wrote, something to support and help the child who may be grieving. How can I get over it? How can I ever be strong? Why is death so cruel? How will I ever move on? Time alone and time to grieve, that's what I need for this, so please don't rush me. Time stands still. My heart needs healing, so ill. I've cried and cried so many tears, those tears of love and loss. I may not ever truly heal from death, from grief, and how I feel. You know when I'm ready, you know when I'm strong, but leave me now for time I need, the scars, the hurt, my heart doth bleed. And when the time is right for me to share my grief with you and thee, you'll know I'll come and tell you why I've finally been able to say goodbye to the one I love. If you'd like some more support or some help from us at Independent Thinking, then please do get in touch. I'm Nina Jackson. I'm on Twitter as @MusicMind, and Independent Thinking, we are at ITL worldwide. Please be kind to yourself and to others. Thank you.